will feature, in addition to our illustrious guests, 10 minutes taken from past Firing Line episodes. These were not selected by me. In fact, I had nothing to do with them. They were brought together by the Museum of Television and Radio here in New York under the direction of Dr. Robert Batcher. There's amusing stuff there, touching down ever so briefly on some high moments. So we'll put off the interrogatories until later and look in on these snapshots. I may just interpose briefly here and there. Please proceed.
Firing Line is devoted to the proposition that interesting people can be interesting through the course of an entire hour. Failures at this level have been very few. But then, to quote the brilliant observation of Harold Nicholson, 99 people out of 100 are interesting, and the 100th is interesting because he is the exception.
You have Richard Goodwin, former assistant to Kennedy, saying the big fight in the 70s will be over the size of government.
And also advocating that in the handling of the problems of the nation, we must go to local responsibility and diffuse power rather than concentrate it, which of course is completely unfashionable to the liberal community of even 5 years ago.
Yeah, but meanwhile you've got the Republicans who are afraid that if they get caught saying that kind of thing, they're going to be considered reactionary. And
let me at least keep the record straight on
that program was filmed in this studio, and we were told at 6 o'clock that there was something wrong with the mechanism, and we waited 3 hours. It's the only time there's ever been any delay. That's why he's not so fluent.
Moving in to this whole area of providing more jobs for Negroes. That's right.
I should like to begin by asking Mr. Ford, in the event that you become president, would you grant amnesty to everyone involved in the so-called Watergate affair?
And for me, number one, to catapult myself into the office of president and then make a decision with so many uncertainties, I think would be very ill-advised.
6 weeks later, by the way, he was president, but he had to proceed as though Nixon was completely innocent.
I can only say that
he did it rather convincingly, I thought. Were you convinced?
No.
We deal with a government that does not represent the will of the people. The people never had a chance to express their will. But the same, it was before Torrijos became the dictator that the initial riots took place demanding an assertion of that sovereignty. How do you account for that? I think the first time that it was expressed was in 1932 in the charter of the new Communist Party of Panama, that they put as one of their top objectives the taking over of the canal.
Are you saying the communists invented patriotism in Panama?
No.
Yes, well, you really tried to say that.
No. Interestingly enough, I said to Mr. Reagan a little while later, a few months later, that if the treaty had been defeated, in my judgment, he would not have been elected president. I think there would have been a Vietnam situation. On the other hand, if he hadn't come out against the treaty, he wouldn't have been nominated on the grounds that my brothers in the conservative movement would have punished him for not taking the correct position. So,
why do they launch 700 more missiles when you just told us how frequently they could kill us with the missiles they now have?
It's really
either they are or they aren't useful. Depending on whether it's useful to your argument to say that we shouldn't have any more, you use one argument. Depending on whether it's useful to you to say that there are going to be more, you use a paradoxical argument.
Mr. Buckley, what I'm saying is that in the absence of an agreement, both sides will continue the pattern they followed for years of increasing because of the madness that exists.
Who's mad?
Between
I'm not mad.
Well,
the governor was a lovely man. He really is a lovely man.
I would suggest that if not mad, you're at least lacking in vision and common sense.
I like that at Yale.
Senator, I accept that as a question.
When Christ said that the poor we will always have with us, was he making an economic point, or was he making a spiritual point, or both?
We have both. We need both. And I find this...
That woman is saintly enough even to forgive such as Christopher Hitchens.
Spiritual poverty much more difficult.
Much more difficult
Yes, because material poverty, if I pick up a person hungry, give him the food I've removed the difficulty. Or he is shivering with cold, I give him a blanket, I've removed the difficulty. But the lonely one, the one hurt, like I find in the shut-ins, in the better of countries, is something so difficult to make up for that love that they are hungry for.
So you look for reality, and you try this and try that, and ultimately you arrive at the conclusion, great oversimplification, that reality is a mystery.